Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. And what better way to start the weekend than to have Kimberlin Brown of The Bold and the Beautiful with me? Hello.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I was laying out down by the pool and thought, boy, I better run upstairs and get ready to come and talk.
Okay. So now we all want to go to the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful day out here in the desert.
So nice. You're in Palm Springs at the moment.
I am.
You are. Well, you have had, I always say, and I think you and I have talked about this over the years, like you literally have more than 9 lives on when I look back at the history of soap operas, you're the one that is able to keep coming back, even though she has done some horrific things. I mean, what is that for you? What is that like for you to know that you still keep coming back when they could literally kill her off, and they supposedly did?
It's great. To me, it's a testimony of what my fans want and how Brad is actually listening to them, because playing an evil character, you just never really know, what your storyline is going to be or how long it's going to last. And I'm happy to say that mine has lasted for over 35 years. This last time around, they killed me off, and I kind of looked at it as, okay, well, I guess this is time for me to figure out my next steps in life. I'm going to have a grandbaby in June. Maybe I'll go build a place in Montana. And I started doing all of that. And the outcrying from the fans when they got rid of me was huge, huge. And then I was already done filming, and they started doing the stuff in the crematorium. And unbeknownst to me, they already saw what had happened the week after they killed me, with fans and ratings and everything else. They'd already made arrangements to bring me back. So it was a whirlwind of a ride, because I was like, oh wow, this is a drag. And then got a call a few weeks later saying, would you consider coming back? It's like, yes, absolutely. Sheila's my baby. I know there are a lot of people that don't like her, and they make themselves very vocal on Instagram. But then there are a lot of people that don't want to see the show without her. That character just brings so much spice to the show. So I'm really happy to be back.
So in the interview, I think I read with you, did Brad Bell call you in the office and tell you, like, we have to put her to rest for now?
Yeah, he told me, it's time, basically. So those are never easy conversations to have. And what can you say to that? I'm not going to, oh, no, you can't do that. It would be horrible. It's like, he knows storyline. He knows where he wants things going, not me. So I took it on the chin like a big girl and went to Montana and bought property. So
I read that. Yeah, you went to Montana.
I did.
Right. So you have property there now.
I have property there now. I'm building a home in Montana to be closer to my grandson, keeping a place here in California to be close to my daughter, and I'll have the best of everything.
Did you, in your mind at the time that they killed her, think it's sugar?
I didn't. Matter of fact, when Brad called me back, asking if I would come back to the show, I said, well, how are you going to pull this one off? And he goes, we're researching it right now. So I guess that's where their research took them, to Sugar. And Sugar was on Bold and the Beautiful at one time with me as well. Remember when we had all of the Forrester boys, holding them against their will and at the Foundry. So Robin Mattson played that part brilliantly. And then back on Young and the Restless is when she, unfortunately had the surgery to look like Sheila, unbeknownst to her.
That was one of Sheila's coup de grace. Like, that was like, who would have thought of that but Sheila, right? Like, I'm gonna have her go down to pay a like
Yeah.
South American doctor, and she's gonna wake up and her face is mine.
Hey,
Uh,
baby, I'll help you with that facelift that you've been dying to have.
I will never ask Sheila for like plus recommendations for anything to do with skincare. So you see how they do it, and I love the 10 toes versus 9 toes.
Right,
And the brilliance is that Deacon was really the hero in this story. He believed that my love of my life is not dead,
right,
right? Which,
right.
what is the pairing like with you and Sean Kanan? And does she, I mean, she's married the guy, but does she, in her heart, feel like she knows that she loves this guy? Does she even know what love is in your.
I think for the first time in Sheila's history, um, she is, I mean, she has found a man who truly does love her, and yes, she does love him. She desperately loved Eric Forrester, but there were too many people around her that would never allow that to happen. And even though there are people around Deacon that prefer that this doesn't happen, he's actually stood up to them and said, no, this is who I want to be with. She makes me happy. She's, yeah, there are a lot of things that make me a little crazy, but I go crazier when she's not there. So yeah, Sheila has finally found true love, I believe. And it'll be interesting to see if she can hold on to it. And it'll be interesting to see if a good man in her life can truly make a difference in hers.
I also love that when they did the reveal that, Sheila was alive and they were doing the sugar story, they went back to that clip of you with Tracy Bregman telling her
Yes.
while they weren't they stuck together at that time? They were like,
We were down in the basement, remember that? But um, the clip that the one of the flashbacks that they showed, and it was brilliant, and I completely forgot about it, was when she said, I knew that that wasn't Sheila because Sheila has limped ever since she broke her ankle, getting out of the window of the farmhouse. So that was like, that's why I pushed her out of the window at the farm, when we were being held.
right.
Um, that's why I pushed her out of the window where we were, and I couldn't get out because I had broken my ankle. And they used that in the show years ago when Sugar confronted Lauren as Sheila, and Lauren went, there, that is not Sheila.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool moment because I'll be honest, it was so many years ago. I couldn't quite remember that. And then when I saw the flashback, I went, oh my gosh, this is brilliant.
MAK, it was brilliant back from the dead story, very believable. Ronald series said, yes, that was a good use of show history.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
And many people are saying, can we ever have a Lauren and Sheila confrontation? Everybody wants that and it never happens. How do you feel about that? Because I know you and Tracy created this unbelievable nemesis story that is carried on for years, and then they never quite, when she's over at B&B, they don't cross paths.
Yeah, well, that's not to say that they won't ever not cross. I mean, I believe that they will cross paths one day. It'd be too good to not have that happen. Tracy and we really did create something fabulous together as far as, the ultimate, villain against really not a good girl, but a girl that never wanted what she had until Sheila wanted it. So it's definitely a storyline that I think could resurface. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at that, when you and I and Tracy did a virtual interview together during COVID, I think we did it. It was
Right.
so amazing going down that memory lane. And you just think of the deep history. There's so much history. And we celebrated, didn't we, 30 years of Sheila, like a year? I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Who
Yeah.
had that as a supervillain?
I know. No, it's been 35, over 35 years now playing Sheila Carter, and I'm thrilled because she was supposed to be on the show for 3 months on Young and the Restless, just to cause trouble between Scott and Lauren, and 3 months, I'm blessed to say, has turned into 35 plus years.
Now, here's an interesting comment from Misty. Hi, Misty. Hope to see them dive into Sheila's childhood to see what made her the way she was. We know about the mother and putting her in the oven, but we don't know like what happened to her, right? Something had to have.
Exactly. That they've never touched on the backstory. I've always had one in my own mind, because I had to be able to justify the things that I was doing on the show. For me, Kimberlin, and I, in my mind, came up with this big scenario. It's like she hated her mother because her mother never stood up for her. Maybe she was horribly abused or in some way, that made it hard for her, always wanting to be loved, but never really knowing how to go about getting it. I mean, it's a pretty common thing if you think about it. And a lot of people struggle with the normalcy of relationships that others might have. And I think that would be an interesting thing to look into for sure.
This is really interesting. M says, I'm a stay-at-home mom. When I watch Bold and Beautiful, my 3-year-old son yells, "Where's Sheila?"
Ah, thank you. Thank you. What's your son's name?
Your son's name, let us know in the chat. So she literally comes back. You have the nuptials.
Mhm.
Is she afraid of the nuptials that it's not going to happen, given that Finn and Steffy, Steffy's so against her? Hope shows up kind of like just for her dad. Nobody's really there for Sheila.
Right.
And then she grabs onto the fact that Finn just accidentally kind of shows up.
Right. No, it's as far as the nuptials go, I think that those do mean a lot to Sheila. She really is thankful to Deacon. Yes, she would love her son to partake and be a part of her life, but she also realizes Steffi will never let that happen. And having Hope at least say yes, she would stand up for me as my maid of honor for her dad. That's a foot in the door as far as Sheila's concerned. I mean, somebody said yes. And who knows, maybe Hope will be able to convince Finn, to become more accepting and more forgiving. I think he wants to be, but once again, it's always a Forrester woman coming between Sheila and her happiness.
So here's what I think. Don't tell me, but I feel that
Right.
Sheila knows. Hope and Finn, they're getting more. You can see that I can see her pushing them, giving the final push, so they end up either sleeping together or getting together, because that would really stick it to Steffi, and it's already kind of developing on its own. So I can just see her manipulating that. Could you see that? But
La 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 la.
my guess is somebody who watches the show.
You know what? The one thing that I have found out in daytime is anything can happen, and the twists and turns can come at the very last moment. Things that you least expect. I mean, there's some stuff coming up on the show that people are going to go, what? So it's anybody's game.
Here's an interesting question.
Uh-huh.
Ronald says, why is Sheila so fixated on Finn, despite never having mentioning before? She never mentions Mary, Diana, Ryder, Daisy.
I know. When you think about the kids that I had with Massimo, I mean, everyone's always wondering, where does she get her money? Where does she get her money? Well, I did have Massimo's child. Remember that. And Thorne's, or Ridge's real father is Massimo as well. So wouldn't that be something if his sibling came to town?
I think that'd be amazing.
Yes.
It'd be amazing. Do you find the whole hold she has on Finn, Sheila?
Mm-hmm.
very conflicted. Like he likes hugging her. It's his mother. He, even though everybody's telling him what's wrong with you, you know, just do you think he's got the bad gene in him?
It's hard to say if it's really the bad gene or I like the way you said that though. I never thought of calling it the bad gene.
Calling it that for conversation's sake.
Oh, I know. I mean, he definitely has Sheila in him, right?
Right.
It is her son, but I think it's really difficult for him to be in that position. He's always in the middle because I believe that he wants to give Sheila an opportunity and wants to get to know her. He feels a pull toward her, and being the doctor that he is, he wants to explore that, figure out why, be it good or bad. But Steffi is just not going to allow that to happen. So always being stuck in the middle is definitely going to cause conflict. But as far as his genes go, I think they fit very well.
Yes, his genes do fit very well.
I think his genes fit just perfectly well. It's my son. I'm proud of him. I love the way his genes look.
That's the best answer. I was going to say, she just has it. I mean, Steffi is right now her ultimate nemesis in this, where we are now. Where does she rank in the nemesis of she? I mean, you had Lauren, you had Stephanie. Now you have Steffi.
Now I have Steffi and a little bit of Lee, right?
Lee just wants her dead.
No, I know. Steffi is definitely a thorn in Sheila's side. I don't think Sheila has ever been slapped so much in her life and let somebody get away with it, or punched and let them get away with it. The one thing about it being her son's wife, boy, she's taking a lot. I'll tell you, I love working with Jackie. We pull from each other so much. That being said, I adored working with Susan Flannery. I mean, working with Susan was, dynamic. It was amazing. She's so incredibly talented and so prepared, just like Jackie is. I'm really very fortunate to have been paired with two powerhouses on Bold and the Beautiful, no doubt about it. And then, of course, Tracy on Young and the Restless.
So it's basically Sheila can't get out of her own way, right? Like part of her really believes she can be good, maybe, and that she can have this life, but then she just can't resist a vendetta or revenge, right? Because isn't that kind of the ongoing?
That's pretty much the ongoing scenario. You hurt somebody that I love, and I'm going to turn around and hurt you. In return, it's just, Michael, come on. It's like, you hurt my baby, I'm gonna hurt you.
And there is nobody else.
You hurt my friend, I'm gonna hurt you. Or remember when I drugged the champagne, when I swapped the champagne for Brooke, Deacon was my friend. And at that point, just a friend. But I knew how much he was in love with with Brooke. And if I could get Brooke drunk enough that she might do something on some night with Deacon that would ruin her marriage, I was willing to do that for my friend. So
I just remember the scenes, the great flashback scenes, the delight of switching the labels and all this stuff. It's the delight of she does love that, doesn't she?
She definitely delights in the sneaky side of things. There's no doubt about it.
Is there one thing now that you think is still the worst thing she's done?
To this day, the worst thing I think she ever did was cutting the birthmark off of a baby.
No. Mm-hmm.
That one was like, you're talking about an innocent baby who can't protect themselves or anything like that, or can't even try. And I'll never forget when I got that script. It's the only one I've been uncomfortable doing. And I called upstairs and they basically said, nope, we're doing it. but we want you to stay home for a couple of weeks afterward. And it's like, oh, thanks. All right, sure.
Anywhere.
Yeah, that just changes everything. Sure, I'll just stay home. So and sure enough, when I cut that birthmark off that baby, people were furious. Understandably, I would have been too.
What's it like for you if you are in public? Is it different now than it was years ago? Like, has anyone ever come up and tried to slap you?
No one slapped me. I had some ladies, 3 gals in Dallas at one point that came at me with their newspapers. And I grabbed, oh, Sheila, and, started hitting me and got a little out of hand. So I grabbed one of the papers and I put my hand out and I said, I'm Kimberlin. Nice to meet you. And then they were so embarrassed because they did get caught up in the character. But that's the only way that they know me. They don't know me as a Kimberlin. And on one hand, it's kind of interesting because I'll go places where other castmates might, oh, look, da 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 da, and I'll walk in the door and they don't come near me. They're just like,
right? They're like, oh,
I think they're a little nervous to come near me until they get to know me. And then it's like, oh my gosh, you're nothing like your character. It's like, yes, that's why they call it acting.
it's so funny. I know you say that because people always ask me, what is
Right.
Kimberlin Brown like? You've no. I'm like, well, what do you think she's like? And they literally, I don't think they can. It's like separate. And I
Right.
think us in our lives, we're always seen like one way. Like people have us one way, and
Yes.
people are multidimensional and can do multiple things, right? And I think that's just kind of like they just see you in this tunnel vision. But
Yeah. No, I've actually had people start following me on Instagram, for instance, and they can see all of the other things that I do outside of acting, the charity work that I do, the fun that I go and have. And they're all, wow, I can't hate you anymore. It's like, well, you should have never hated me anyway, but you can still hate Sheila if that's, you know what I mean? It's been interesting.
what has been one of the more emotional scenes recently on this last like year or so of B&B went on and off? What was there a more emotional scene for you to play that was hard for you? Where because she's had to.
Yeah.
Was it with the Steffy Finn shooting? Was it afterwards? Was it with, Finn when she was nursing him back to health, but she was really keeping him captive? Was it later with Steffy? Was there something that was just?
Yeah. There was a really great scene recently when Finn and Deacon rescued Sheila, and she was leaning up against a wall, and she started getting emotional about, is Steffi okay? Are the kids okay? Is it, because she thinks that they're probably dead because she couldn't stop sugar, that sort of thing. That was I loved that scene. And then another one recently that I had nothing to do with, being at the morgue underneath a sheet and having Sean say his goodbyes to me. And even though it wasn't on me, it was on him, being under that sheet and listening to him say his goodbyes. I was just praying to God when he pulled down the sheet to give me a kiss goodbye that there wasn't a tear coming down my face. It was, that was a great scene for him. Truly was. As far as Sheila goes, the majority of the things that are emotional for her are still kind of there. It's a different kind of emotional. It's
Yeah.
not like a Brooke and a Steffi, cry sort of thing. It's always seems to be more of kind of a buildup of all the wrongs that she did that didn't turn out the right way, and now she's got to atone for them.
Did you think the last time when Michael Corbett was the judge and she ends up getting out of that, when you were getting the scripts for that, did you think this is it? I am like going to or did you know that you weren't? How much ahead did you know of that?
No, I don't. That's another thing about me with my acting. I don't read ahead all of the scripts. I find that if I just memorize, what's coming up that week, And sometimes I won't even pick up my script until 2 days before I need to perform. I don't want to read ahead in the storyline because I don't want it to change the way that I play something today. If I know what's happening 2 or 3 weeks from now, that could completely alter the way that I would play something in a natural way right now. So there are actors that read ahead and they love to read ahead and find out what's going on. I prefer for everything to just be a bit more organic and take it as it comes. So no, as far as reading ahead, did I know what was coming? No, not really. When I found out it was Michael, when I picked up those scripts, I went, who the heck is this judge? And then I look on the rundown and it's Michael. It was like, wow, this is brilliant. And he did a brilliant job. He had so much dialogue and he just tackled it brilliantly. And it was lovely to see him. And it's so funny. I mean, there are fans on the internet who made some amazing videos
Amazing.
with him sitting behind the desk, and they put killer across his forehead, just like on Young and the Restless. It was like, how do these people do this? It's like, I need to take a better video editing class, clearly, because that was
it was amazing. I know. It was
unbelievable.
unbelievable. Ray is saying, I'm just so glad that Sheila is still on the show. I just love her so much. She really should be recognized more by the Academy for her excellence in acting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said before, I'm just so happy to be back. It's truly my happy place playing Sheila, being able to create her with Bill Bell, and have a producer just give me free reign, basically tell me that there's no wrong. You can do whatever you want and it's right. And it's like, wow, it's an actor's dream. And thank you. I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, and I was honestly on that on Bill Bell. I mean, a character created by Bill Bell, and you are Sheila. Like, think about the legacy of that, and what an amazing thing that is, Kimberlin.
And you said his name, and he must be listening because I just got chills going through my body. I'm just, I'm one of the lucky ones. I truly am. Bill saw something in Sheila. He saw something in me playing her, because I screen tested before that for the part of Cassandra Rawlings, and 3 years later, they specifically brought me back for Sheila, and I wasn't the only person in the room. There were several of us, and I'll never forget Ed Scott coming out and saying, "There's a note we want to give you, and that is there's no wrong. Don't play it safe. Don't be inside a box. There is no wrong." And to be an actress on daytime in particular and be told that I think that's another reason why the character became so popular, because you never know what she's going to do next. You know, a good girl on the show, you know what she's going to do next. You always know what's going to happen. Even though it's still exciting to watch, it's not very unpredictable, where Sheila can be so unpredictable. I mean, there's a table in the room that's in the wrong space. You never know what she's going to do with it, even. So,
But like I said, I mean, kudos. I mean, Bill Bell's vision is just tremendous. His vision was just tremendous, and his sense and understanding of talent and what worked off the screen and what he would see, and he'd see certain things in people and then kind of know, I'll put them with that. Like, he just had that innate ability that I actually have never seen again. Like, it's just that outstanding.
he was definitely a master at what he did. Definitely a master.
Ronald is asking, who do you think was Sheila's greatest love? Scott, Eric, James, Massimo, or Deacon?
I think I have to go with the current one. So I think I have to go with the one that wants me in the house. So I think it's definitely Deacon. Obviously, her love for Scott was amazing. But Scott was true blue until the end. I think those scenes at the end where he was saying his goodbyes and finally realized that Sheila was the one that loved him all along. and not Lauren, and said something about it. That was powerful. She was in love with Eric. It's just, she's never had anyone reciprocate. This is the first time she's had somebody reciprocate the love that she has felt for them. And she's having a great time because of it.
But I just know she'll mess it up. But that's another thing.
I don't know. Is that a bar behind me? I don't know. You never know. Brooke might come walking through. There's always something to mess it up. Yeah.
So what about Sheila and Lee?
Talk
to me about working with Naomi Matsuda, and people are saying, Citizen Morgan says the next great rival should be Sheila and Finn's mom, Lee, just like back in the day between Stephanie and Brooke. Oh, I see the analogy. So,
right. First off, working with Naomi is great. She's fun to work with, a lot of fun to work with, and our dynamics are so completely different. But let me tell you what, that girl has a mean streak. She really does. Finn's mom, I have a feeling, it may come out, it may not, but she's no angel herself. And she may be one calling the tea kettle, Yeah, exactly. So it's.
I think Sheila's going to find out, and she's going to have the leverage, because that's got to be the way.
Well, I have no idea where that storyline's going. I can tell you the one that's coming up right now it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's some big stuff happening on the show coming up that, God, I wish I could say more, Michael. It's just, I got the script, and when we were filming it, I was going, oh my gosh, this is just too good. It's too good. And there are a lot of characters involved in it. So it'll be... Well,
now, people were speculating that Sheila actually, they try to kill her. But then we just went through that. So I'm kind of like...
Yeah.
People are like, oh, they want to kill her.
There's something coming up, but it's not what they think.
You heard
not what they think. But I think a showdown between the two moms would be powerful, because obviously, once again, Sheila would be fighting for somebody that she loves unconditionally, and so would Lee.
Can we have it in a laboratory?
Yeah, that was one of the best fights ever, wasn't it?
I literally have to tell you, it was the best ever. And then the stunt doubles came in, right? But you guys started it.
Yeah. Well, most of it was us. It was pretty wild. Yeah. So, yeah. Could you imagine if Lee had shown up for the wedding with all that food out there, all the toes everywhere, all the toe hors d'oeuvres? That one killed me. When I walked out on set, I went, oh my gosh, look at their toes everywhere. But if there were a fight and we were just blowing through all the toes, that would have been a good one too. There's some good stuff coming up, Michael, and I would really love the opportunity to have two moms go at each other for the love of their son.
Do you remember at your big milestone event, we have toes? Didn't we have?
They did. Oh my gosh, they did.
It was
they were pieces of cake that looked like toes. Well, gosh, the close-ups of the hors d'oeuvres and everything at the wedding, it was all the same, all toes. But I got to tell you what, the audience loved it. They absolutely loved this kind of stuff. And when Deacon finally saw the 10 toes at the morgue, I mean, hashtag 10 toes went viral. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. I went, oh my gosh. I'm going to have to get some t-shirts made hashtag 9 toes.
Yeah, you're just going to go away from it. Richie is saying Quinn, and now here's one. Richie Long is saying Quinn and Sheila catfight at the Forrester mansion was epic. What do you think?
That was epic. It was very, very physical. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, I do believe, Sheila ended up in the upstairs guest room because of it. Am I right?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Oh, it hurt. Oh,
my head.
Oh, Eric.
Unbelievable. She pulls another one off. It's like,
I'll tell you what, I've had so many epic cat fights though. When you look at the ones on Young and the Restless with Lauren in the lab, like you were talking about, you look at the jacuzzi stuff
the
with
jacuzzi.
Stephanie Forrester. Um, it was all. I have been so lucky to have the opportunities that I've had as an actress on this show. There's just no doubt.
Now, you obviously, since you're involved in catfights a lot, and I've had this conversation with Melody Thomas Scott and other people, I'm like, do you like the catfights? Or is there like a feminism thing where you don't like two women going at it? Now, Melody said, oh, no, I love the catfights.
Right.
They're fun for her. But other women don't sometimes like it, like they tell me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where do you stand with it?
No,
Like,
I love them. I
yeah.
do. I'm very, very safe though. I've had a couple of run-ins with people on the show where you get hurt. You get hurt. And I take care to make sure that the person I'm acting opposite is never harmed. It's like Tracy's so much more petite than I am. And I would just make sure that I had to make sure she would never get hurt. Otherwise, that's the end of your catfight history. There would be no more of those scenes written for you. There's a gentleman that I worked with who I was tied up. My hands were tied, my legs were tied. He had to drag me across the room, and he dragged me across the room, but he dropped me on a concrete slab. So it's like it's a fine line. You just have to know how to maneuver it. But I love that fine line because to me it tests your skill that much more.
Misty is saying, love the scene of Sheila and Hope before the wedding, where she said to love and protect her father's heart. She said that was a powerful scene. What did you think of that scene, Kimberlin?
I think everything leading up to that wedding, coming from the warehouse and where she was great. And Annika did a beautiful job. Annika, it's fun because when we get our scenes together, she's like, I just love working with you and Sean. I love working with you and Sean. And it shows. She's doing phenomenal work, and that's one of them right there. Thank you, Misty, because it was amazing. Is this the same Misty that brought me my grandma presents in Louisiana?
Misty Schumacher.
Okay.
This is the name, Misty.
All right.
Liam is asking, what was your set experience like during your 2005 YNR storyline? Let's see. 2005.
My set experience, like
on set, I believe.
I can tell you that I have been really, really lucky that every time I go back to Young and the Restless, my set experience is always the same. The crew is phenomenal. I've worked with them, for so long. It's like going home again when they welcome you back like that. So it's it's always great going back working with Tracy. Other than that, I can't think of any other set experiences. I'm trying to.
Misty wrote back and said, yes, it is the same Misty.
Yeah, she brought the most beautiful, because I'm going to be a grandmother next month, and she bought me a cute little jumper for a little boy, saying my future fishing buddy, and then a really cool fly fishing t-shirt saying I'm the cool grandma. So
are you excited about being grandma?
I am. I really am. I'm really excited for my son and my daughter-in-law, Kayla. So it's a happy time. Definitely a happy time.
When you and Jackie get together to do scenes where it's either the punching, she punches Sheila, or there's a confrontation or showdown, what's the rehearsal process like? Do you just run it once? I mean, how much do you get to do it? Because I hear you guys have no time on daytime anymore, but what's it like at B&B in terms of
whenever it's something physical like that, Michael, they definitely allow time.
Right.
When she has to punch me or slap me. They'll bring a stunt coordinator on to run it with us, so that we both feel comfortable. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable anyway. Jackie's she always feels horrible when she has to hit me. I was like, just hit me. Will you please just hit me so can we get this ball rolling? Kimberly, I feel so bad. It's like, she's a good friend on set and off set. So she's very torn when it comes to having to slap me or hit me. The punch she threw that day, that was huge. And you have to just time everything just right. So the second you feel it, you throw your head back. Otherwise, you're really going to take the brunt of it. So our show definitely takes the time when those kind of stunts are involved to bring in a stunt coordinator. There is one time that I worked with Jackie and I said, you should slap me right here. But there was no stunt coordinator. It's just something we added. And I said, I can do this. I said, just hit me, go that way, and I'm going to go with it. And it worked out just fine. There comes a point, especially when you're Sheila, you're so used to taking punches and slaps and kicks and being thrown around that maybe I should go to stunt work.
I'm thinking while you're in Montana,
yeah,
your other side gig.
Yeah, exactly.
Things. Well, do you think Sheila's going to want to get out of that little room with Deacon? Like, isn't she going to want a house? And like, can she be okay like in that little place?
Space.
I see her angling.
I'm angling right now. I'm angling, trying to see. I think she can be happy wherever Deacon is. I think that although, sure, she would want more, and Deacon wants to give her more, and he says that all the time. I think she's willing to take what she has and what she can get because she really does love Deacon. That being said, yes, she wants a bigger house.
Of course. I'm like, she's going for the mansion.
She wants a place to wear those Lady of the Manor dresses that she bought when she was with Bill.
Exactly. She's gonna want to get out of there. I give her a month, if even. She's gonna be like, we're gonna take over the Forrester man, like something.
I don't know.
I don't know, but that's what I would see her.
That's funny.
See her doing. Is there a role? This is such a great role. Do you ever have the feeling like, oh, I want to go off and do a primetime episodic, or I'd like to do something? Where are you at? Because people are asking, oh, would she like to do a different kind of show? Do you have those inklings to craves to do those things still, or where are you at in your career?
As an actor, there are two kinds of work and no work. And of course, I mean, if somebody asked me to go do a guest spot on a primetime show, I'd be more than thrilled to do that. You always want to stretch those legs and see what you are capable of. That being said, that doesn't mean that if I did something like that I would have to walk away from Sheila either. The show's very accommodating. If you look at Sean, who's on Cobra Kai with the last 2 seasons, and the show worked around his schedule so that he could do both shows. And I also believe that if you do have that ability, the crossover audience, I mean, it's a great business move if you think about it, because daytime has such a powerful following. I don't know why they wouldn't consider using some of their daytime actors, in primetime as well, be it, as a short-term role or as a guest role or something like that.
Yeah, I know for us as journalists, when we see like so-and-so's guest starring on Tracker or whatever show it is, we write it up. It's because we know the audience is going to want to know about it and then in turn tune in. So exactly. It's energy, for a network, especially even if they keep their own, like you're on CBS. If you went to a CBS, it's really good synergy.
Right.
Kenneth is asking, how was it to work with the late Roscoe Bourne?
Roscoe was incredibly talented, incredibly talented. I loved working with Roscoe, and I was at the studio when he started having some medical issues that they found out what it was. I mean, he'd been down in Mexico, I guess, and picked up a parasite, and he battled that for quite some time. So when I heard of his passing, that was something that I wasn't expecting at all. He's a great loss because he was a true powerhouse, in my opinion. And yeah, our storyline together was great, and Tracy was a part of that as well. So yeah.
Real quickly in wrapping up, Richie said Kimberlin would be awesome for the Melrose Place reboot.
See, I'm so out of it. Are they doing one?
Yes, they are.
Wow. Yes.
They're
Absolutely.
doing a Melrose Place reboot. They're just shopping where it's going to go. But
Right.
I believe that Heather Locklear and others are attached to it. So
Oh, how fun. That's fun.
that would be really great.
Heather
All
was in my acting class.
What?
She was in my acting class, I think.
Was? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time on a Friday with us. Your fans love you. They're all, many of them with us here.
Oh,
And
Michael, thank you.
see what happens next. I know it's going to be crazy and it
Right.
probably exciting, right? But thank you for all the joy and excitement you brought to everybody in daytime for all these years. And it's so great that you're still on the show, and it wouldn't be the same without you. And
thank you.
I mean,
that means the world to me. Thank you.
Of course. Well, have a great night. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you. And hey, Michael, for people that couldn't get on and watch us live, do I just post on my Instagram and send them this link, or how does that work?
The link, the YouTube link that
Okay.
they're watching on live will be up right away, so they can come back and watch the replay. So if you send them the YouTube link, that's where they can watch it right away.
All right, everybody, you hear that? So if your friends missed it, tell them.
Come on back. Come on back. Michael Fairman Channel, right? Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost anything. Subscribe, and you'll be able to see the interview.
And follow me on Instagram. Take care, everybody.
Okay, bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Kimberlin.
All right, bye-bye.